So it's going to be a pretty simple turning today. I've got two pieces of Paduke. I've got to pick another piece out. It's going to be a lid for what I'm making here. It's not real complicated, but it's pretty cool. Recently, when I went to the Oregon Woodturning Symposium, sat in on a lot of demos, and one of them, the person made something I thought was pretty cool. That's what I'm going to make today. But I'm also have a pretty big connection to what he was talking about during the demo, and we had a really nice conversation after that. And I told him I'm going to go ahead and make this. So I'm not going to tell you my connection right now. We're going to wait till I get this built and I build the other part to it, and then I'll show you what I made in, I think it was 1977. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the strips, cut the segments, and I'll be back and we'll get going. I know glue-ups can be kind of boring to watch. It's kind of slow and tedious, so I also know the video is going to get really long, so I'm going to speed this up. If there's any interest in seeing segments cut and glued together, I'll make a dedicated video just for that, so let me know. I've used various ways to hold these rings on my bandsaw cutting fixture. I've used double-sided tape, but I find that hot glue works as good as anything. And if you're interested in this sled, I do have a video for it, and I'll put a link in the description. It really works good to split a ring like I'm doing here and get two rings out of one, because gluing thinner ones together is much harder. Alright, the fun is going to start now, but I'll go over what I just did. I cut some strips, I made some segments, and then I glued some spacers between them. And I took it over to my bandsaw, and then I sliced those, and each ring became two. So that's because I want them thinner like this, and it's easier to glue up a thick one and recut them. So I'm going to get this centered on here. This is a piece of MDF. I just temporarily hot glue this on, and we'll start building this direction, and this is actually going to be the top. It's kind of backwards, but this is what I've come up with, which is going to work best for what I'm doing. So while I get this centered, I'll tell you what inspired me to do this. So at the Oregon Woodturning Symposium, somebody was doing a presentation, and he made something he called a manhole cover box with a tip-up lid, and his name's Keith Gotschall. Well, I wasn't necessarily going to make one of these. I thought it was pretty cool, but he showed some pictures when he started talking about designs that you could put on them, and that's what really woke me up, because, well, I don't want to reveal everything because I'm going to show you this when we finish it, as long as it works. I got this sanded off. I used one of my sanding boards. This is either 60 or 80, and I just took a little sanding. We're at 400 thousandths. I was going to go for 3/8, but you know what? That's going to be fine. It'll just be even a taller box. So I just cut these on the laser cutter engraver, and it's so fast. I couldn't believe how nice of a job it did, and they are absolutely perfect. I don't have any other equipment that could cut it that fast, and I have two good sized CNC milling machines. This is so much quicker. I think that it really can be handy, and that shows you right there. Alright, that worked fairly good, but I think I will glue it together as a whole ring on the next layer, and maybe that'll work better. So I'm going to let that sit, get my board up against it. I'll go cut some more of these, and well, we'll just keep going. Okay, maybe 3, maybe 4 more rings. See what it looks like. So while I waited for the glue to set up on this ring, I went ahead and glued these all together. I just think it probably would have been easier on the first one as well. Much easier. Got my 1/2-inch bowl gouge. About 975 RPM. I'm just going to clean this up. There, we got it. I think that's going to be just right. So this is actually the bottom end of this box I'm making, and that's the last piece that goes on. And it has a big hole in it, so how's that going to work out to be a bottom without having a hole in the bottom of your box? I plan on cutting a recess in here, and I'll insert a piece. This is somewhat like a lot of people make with a floating bottom on their bowl. This is not what that's supposed to be. I plan on putting a totally different type of wood in here with something special on the other side. So that's how I wanted to do it, and I want to continue with this look on the outside because this is kind of a brick pattern. I'm take this little carbide tool and just clean this up a little bit and then cut a step for my piece that goes in here. About 800 RPM. Well, it is the next morning. I've got the step all cleaned up, ready for this little disc that I cut out. This is the bottom here. Outside's kind of a brick pattern. Well, so is the inside of it's going to be a brick pattern. And there's another connection to what I've been teasing you with on what I'm making here. And the exciting part is coming towards the end. You're going to want to see this. So how did I make this? I used the laser engraver. Cut the circle out, and it put those steps in there. Believe it or not, you hear that? Those are steps. It looks just like bricks. To me, that laser engraver is just another tool for my woodworking, just like a bandsaw is, because that really made it simple. I'm going to get this in position, put a couple spots of glue on it, then I'll glue this against it. So let me get all set up and we'll do that. So I'm just putting that last ring on the bottom here. Got it lined up. Got the insert centered up. A couple drops of glue on two sides. Yeah, that looks like it lines up. So another day has passed, and I just wasn't able to work on this much yesterday. I've got it flipped around. I just need to clean up the inside and then put a step in here. Got my 1/2-inch bowl gouge. I've zoomed it in here to kind of try to explain what I'm doing now. I've got a step right here that's about a 1/2 inch wide and it's a 1/4 inch deep. Right now I'm going to make it about 11/32 deep right here on the inside. And I'll show you a cross section of this because you're not going to really be able to see this. So I'm going to just step it down about close to 1/8 of an inch, and that will be all we need to do here. I'll get it sanded up and then I'll make a lid. I'm going to use my skew here to try to get that little angle on it without taking any more off of this other edge. Okay, that should do it. I picked out a piece of Paduke to use for the lid for this box, and I haven't done one of these before, so we're going to learn how to do this together. I've got it hot glued to a pretty good size disc back here with a tenon on it. I think we'll start by making it round and making it flat, and that's probably all I need to do on this side. It's about 900 RPM. Need a 1/2 inch this way. And that could go farther, but it can't be less. I'll get this sanded up and then I'll give you a sneak preview of what it looks like, but I'm saving the best for last. I'm just going to sand it with little pieces of paper like this. I wouldn't call it a sheet because it's not big enough to be a sheet. Let me get this finished sanding, I'll set it up and show it to you. So I've got it out of the chuck, and I used a piece of MDF, and I made a rather large disc here with a tenon that I hot glued onto that, and I've hot glued this onto here. And I just decided I think a larger piece right here was going to be better because it's getting thin. I wanted to make sure it stayed nice and flat as I turned it. You've probably seen this before, but I'll put some denatured alcohol. You can also use lacquer thinner. And I'm not putting the finish on this right now, so I'll have some sanding to do on that side, and the finish I'm using, it doesn't need to be in the lathe when I do it. I'll let that sit for a while, we'll pop it off. So here's the box section again. It's still on the chuck that I turned it on. I put a different chuck in the lathe so I could do the lid. And there's the lid. It goes in there like that. Looks like we probably need a knob to get this out of there. Maybe we need a knob. I'm going to get this back in the lathe and I'll finish sanding it, get some finish on it, and when I come back I'll show you what is going on with this lid. Okay, it's time to put the finish on this. I'm going to use water-based sanding sealer. It's the Minwax, and then I'll use polyacrylic. And it looks like it's not staining the light colored wood, at least not too much, maybe a little bit there, but that's okay. I want this to look kind of old. So that's all there is to putting this on and the polyacrylic, and I do have a video that shows that, and I'll put a link in the description how I use the polyacrylic. It's pretty easy and it's a nice finish. I'm going to get this all finished up, and when I come back you're going to see the whole thing completed with those really strange lids that I made. Well, here it is. It is all done and it was sure a lot of fun. It finished 7 inches in diameter. It's 2.5 inches tall, and I made that base out of 1/8 inch Baltic birch plywood, and that's so I could put a step in there and keep that brick pattern all the way down without changing. I finished it with Minwax water-based sanding sealer and Minwax polyacrylic. And I cut those bricks with a laser. That's just another tool that you can use in your shop. So I'm going to get this set up, and I'm going to show you the lids, and I'll show you the trick about this particular turning. Okay, so I actually made 2 lids. I tested out 2 different processes to create this design, and I think you can see that. It's a sunflower design on here, and this one I used the laser engraver to do this. It was really quick and easy, and again, it's just another tool in the shop. Then I made this one, and this is actually engraved. I used a CNC router to cut all of those in, and I've had CNC milling machines for many years, so this is nothing new to me. But I'm not sure which one I like the best first, because when I mill this you can only get so close to the center without cutting all the design away. Alright, here is the trick that Keith has here. This sits in here like that. It doesn't have a knob on it. You don't need a knob because you go like this. It flips up and you take it off. That's pretty much how they take the manhole covers off. They'll have a hole drilled in them, put a bar in there, and when they lever it up, it comes up like this, and then they can get it. So I thought that was pretty cool. So let's hop on over to my computer and I'll show you why this works, and then I'm going to show you where that sunflower design came from. So I'll be right back. I'm in front of my computer now and I have my CAD system open. It's called BobCAD. I have 3 drawings that hopefully will help explain what we're doing here. And I don't know if it shows up, but I have that mouse cursor as large as you can get it, but I'm not sure it gets recorded that way. So this is one of the drawings I did, and it represents a cross section of the turning itself, and that's kind of what that would look like. So there you can see there's an angle here that you have to put on there, and there's an angle right there. The rest of all of these dimensions, I'm going to not put them in here. I'll put a link to Keith's article, and he's got all that information there, and this is what he came up with, so I want him to get the credit for one of these if you do build it. I've done something special to the top that I'm proud of. So what happens when you drop the lid in there, it looks like this. Now there's a space under it. I'm on the left upper corner if you're not seeing it, and there's a space, and when you push down on that edge it flips it up and it looks like that. So it's all tilted up now. So I also want to show you a picture of something that inspired me to go ahead and do this. I thought it was pretty cool, but when I thought about it I decided, yes indeed, I want to make one of these. So here is the picture. This is a manhole cover in Pioneer Square, downtown Portland. Around 1977 or 78, they started constructing what they call Pioneer Square. And the whole thing is covered with those bricks you're seeing there. And you can get your name engraved on it if you'd like. So that manhole cover, some pattern maker had to make a pattern for this and then send it out probably to a local foundry and get it cast. Well, guess which pattern maker did that? Yep, I built the pattern for this around 77 or 78, and I turned this on the lathe. It's at least 30 inches in diameter, as I recall, a long time ago, and it's domed, a little bit of a dome, and all of these spirals, I had to make a special fixture to guide a router down around that and cut those grooves. And then I rotated the jig so many angles, so much degrees as I did it. It's sitting out in the open where thousands and thousands of people have seen this. I'm going to go ahead and get back out to the shop and we'll wrap this up. Well, it is all done, and I know this video probably went a lot longer than usual for me, and it probably seems a little broken up, but I've been working on this for close to a month, and I haven't been able to work on it steady. We've had a number of issues that were more important than working on this, but I did work on it now and then, and I got it done, and I think it looks pretty nice. I'll have good pictures at the end for sure. Also, what do you think? Do you like the one that's been laser engraved, or maybe the one that's been milled in with a CNC router? Either way, I'll have a video where you'll see this being done and this being done. That'll be coming up in the near future, when I can get at it, that is. So you can let me know in the comments which one of these do you like. And also, if you ever get down to Pioneer Square, you should put a lid on this. If you ever get down to Pioneer Square, look up the manhole cover down there. It's near, I believe it's near the steps that are kind of curved, because they put on little shows down there. I think it's pretty close to that, as I recall. That's many years ago. And I try to stay away from Portland anymore, but maybe one of these days I'll go down and check it out. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, and a special thanks to Keith for this idea. Pretty cool. If you did make it this far, thank you very much. And if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. And hit that notification bell if you want to see more of these. So, till the next time, see you later.